All right, all of you wonderful boys and girls, Mark Centerline Systems. Hey, it's the end of the day, and some conversations that have come up recently have compelled me to shoot this video. This video is going to be about gear. Now, I'm going to probably go a little bit on, you know me, I can ramble a little bit, and I'm going to not be political. If you want to see our political commentary, go to our Mission Critical podcast channel, right? But if you, for this video right here, it might seem political, but it's not, and I'll get into it in a few seconds, so just bear with me. But it's really going to be about gear. Yeah, I make gear, so it's kind of a plug for my gear, but my bottom line is, here, I'll just get right to the heart of the argument. You know, unless you're living under a rock, you should be seeing all the things that are taking place around us in the world, both economically, geopolitically, you know, on the global and local scale, right? Things aren't looking all that good. And the conversation I had that kind of compelled this video is I was talking to somebody the other day. Now, I live in Duluth, Minnesota. It's almost $4 a gallon of gas, right? And I don't know, apparently we all need to get punched a little bit more by Mike Tyson before we actually start speaking out. But $4 a gallon for gas. You're in a decision-making process or a decision-making loop, not an OODA loop, I don't want to go down that road, but you're making a decision. 2 gallons, that's $8, 2 gallons of gas, or a dozen eggs and a loaf of bread, because they're almost the same effing price. So this conversation I was having compelled me to do this video, because if this doesn't pertain to you and you're doing fine, I mean it very seriously. God bless you. That's awesome. I definitely wish you continued success. But if you're like me and other Americans or other small business owners or just the mom and pop trying to scrape by, $8 in gas or a dozen eggs and a loaf of bread. So the point of this video is, and through the conversation I had, is you got to have gear. Look around you. Nature's for free. It's great for your mind, your body, your soul. It's a great opportunity to get out there with friends, family, teach yourself new skills, spread the skills and the skills that you have and the experience you have, share them with your kids, with your loved ones in the natural environment. Hone those skills, because quite honestly, if you don't have some decent gear, so I'm about to make a horrible prediction, and I'll just say, times are really tough. I think times are going to get even worse. I don't think we've seen rock bottom yet. Again, I just did my little Mike Tyson analogy. I don't think we've been punched in the face enough times. So there's a little saying. Here's the scenario. We disagree. Only one of us can be right. So I really hope, if you think I'm crazy right now, I hope you are right. I hope 6 months, a year from now, you're sending me a comment on one of my other videos and saying, Mark, do you remember that day you shot that stupid video? And I will laugh with you. I will buy you a beer. I hope you are right. Unfortunately, I think it's me that is right. So you better start thinking about the trouble, the storm that's kind of coming. And having some gear can help you in the right here, right now. Again, honing your skills, strengthening your mind, strengthening your body, strengthening those bonds with you, your loved ones, your friends, your family, your children, and getting out there and doing that stuff. Now, I personally, of course, you know, I want you to buy my gear. Why? Because my gear is handcrafted, made by Americans, using American-made materials, right? If you've followed me at all or even read anything on my website, you know we have a rule of 3. It's got to be mil-spec, and if it's not mil-spec, which is always made in America, it's got to be made in America. Sometimes the difference between made in America and mil-spec is simply one shade of coloring. Or it's got to be Berry compliant. Now, the Berry Amendment, you go do your own research, it's an actual law. So we do have one item in our product line, and that's the buckle for the belts we use. These are made by Austria Alpine. They're Cobra buckles. They're the best belts out there on the market. And there's a couple other companies that make them, and I mean no offense to anyone else out there. I personally, I get my own opinion, I think the Cobra buckle from Austria Alpine is the best buckle out there. But on top of it, it also meets our third requirement, is because it's Berry compliant. It meets the conditions of the Berry Amendment. That product can be used in our military gear. So that's another reason why I use them, on top of the fact that they make the best buckles out there. But so at the end of the day, it doesn't have to be my gear. Find another American-made company that emulates and does the same things. And I get it. It's really tough to do that nowadays. You know, there's that online, web host or online purchasing system, company that's named after a tribe of kick-ass female warriors from, from South America. But hey, if you use that, I get it. We all have to, right? It just is what it is. But I guess one of the things I'm imploring you before I really kind of get into gear is where and whenever possible, try to find those companies that are doing the right thing for their people and the right thing for their, their city, their state, their country, who are supporting other American, again, American wages, American workers, American materials. That means other American jobs. That's something that I've always held to my heart once I started this business, and I'm gonna do it until the day this business no longer exists. All right, so find an American-made company. Doesn't have to be me. Of course, I want you to buy my gear, and I'm gonna use my gear as a springboard to tell you why you should have gear, because I'm also, of course, I'm doing a plug for my gear. Why wouldn't I? This is how I put this is how I put the 1 dozen eggs and the 1 loaf of bread in my refrigerator, right? Just like you do. All right, so here we go. Gear. So again, if things turn bad, right? And again, if you in your world things are doing hunky-dory and everything's good to go, God bless you. That's awesome. I wish you continued success. But if you're looking at the future and you're saying, hey man, I don't know, maybe should I go to the bar? Should I go to the baseball game? I love both of those things. I really do. I'm just a guy just like anyone else. But I'm already way past that in my life. It's like, no, you've got to be thinking about how can I hone my skills, save money because I need money for gas. I need money for other things, the mortgage, whatever the case may be. Little Jimmy needs braces. Susie wants to play soccer, whatever's going on. Oh, and by the way, another reason I plug is don't forget, hunting season is right around the corner. And I almost forgot that. And more than anything, what's more important, a baseball game or going out and harvesting some small game or a deer or an elk or a bear? Whatever it is that's going to put food on the table to feed and support you and your family. So you got to have some gear. And I'm glad I just caught myself there because I almost forgot. So I actually shot this video 2 days ago, but the audio was just horrible, and I'm kind of redoing it right now. Spoon's here, and he's giving me a little bit of assistance, and we're using a different mic. Let's hope it works out. But on that note, you might need to actually go out and do this for real, whether that's foraging, whether that's fishing. Hey, instead of going to the baseball game, which costs $1 million, and you don't have $1 million to spend, go out into the woods with your friends and family, practice setting up a shelter, practice setting up a tent. If you're not super proficient in making a fire, just practice making a fire. Now, obviously follow your own state and local regulations, what you can and cannot do. I'm not in your, you do you, as you've always heard me say. But the thing though, that's gonna really help you through that endeavor or the potential storm that's on the horizon, first and foremost is gonna be your mindset. But a good piece of gear and you knowing how to use a good piece of gear is going to, in my humble opinion, it's going to increase your odds. Hey, you could have the most wazoo space age piece of gear in the world, and if you don't know how to use it, then what good is it? Then it's just a rock in your rucksack at that point in time, right? So go out and get gear that A, you know how to use, and B, as we segue into the gear, that's multi-purpose, right? That it isn't just one dimension. It can work in a whole bunch of different arenas. It doesn't have to be, oh, I only use that, twice a year when I'm goose hunting. Okay, well, if you can afford to do that, and if the gear is so singular, it's so singularly focused on that one task only, and that only happens twice a year, okay, then if you can afford to do it, do it. That is a technique. I personally like having gear that I can use no matter what the situation is, no matter what it is that I'm trying to accomplish, and no matter the environment that I'm doing it in. So on that note, let's just get into some gear, because I'm really, ultimately, at the end of the day, one more time, I am imploring each and every one of you, get out there, get some gear. Yeah, of course, I want you to buy my gear, but get some gear from somebody, right? It's almost too late to be preparing right now. I mean, this stuff really could happen tomorrow. I mean, and if you don't know what I'm talking about and you think I've got a tinfoil hat, okay, go watch our Mission Critical podcast episodes. Or again, 6 months, hold me to it. And 6 months from now, if we're still able to communicate, then you can give me shit and I'll buy you a beer. But you got to get some gear. So multi-purpose, multi-dimensional, multifunctional gear. Personal opinion, get it, so it's made in America. And as I just said, maybe it's really hard for companies to do what I do. I don't know if I'm the singular, the lone outlier. I'm sure there are other companies that do it as well. I mean, I know of a few of them, but buying all of this stuff, all this material from other American companies is very difficult to do, and it's very expensive to do, right? And then paying an American wage to do, like, let's just face it, sewing isn't just sewing. I love it when people say, oh, just sew that on here. Like, it doesn't work that way, dude. It does not work that way. Cindy, my lead sewer, is just as skilled as any you know, like seasoned plumber or electrician. Her skill is at this level, right? That's the other thing that we at Centerline Systems are trying to offer. I guess my last plug for any other American company that does it as well. Maybe they're buying foreign-made material because it's way too expensive for them to buy, you know, mil-spec American-made material. But they put that same level of craftsmanship and attention to detail into their gear. Shop with those guys. I mean, that's just as good, right? I mean, you got to choose your battles, right? And this is not the hill to die on. But get some gear, right? So this right here is our burrito, CFSE. It's for cooking, CFSE. We call it the burrito because you can shove as much stuff in here. Just you pick and choose, just like a burrito. Cooking gear, foraging gear, fire gear, shelter, survival, sleep, and then the E is everything else. But what's really cool about this is, so, you know, I don't know if we can get a spoon zoom here. We haven't done a spoon zoom in a long time. But it's not just a big bag you put stuff in. There's MOLLE all around the outside so you can attach other pouches. So for example, here I'm just gonna grab one of our utility pouches. I could attach that there. Now see how I can free up some internal space, or I can have another thing on the outside. Maybe this is full of all your condiments, your salt and pepper, so it doesn't go inside if you're gonna use it as a food bag. If it was a food bag, because of all the tie downs, do you imagine how easy it would be to get this over a tree branch, you know, if you're worried about bear, that kind of stuff? It's got MOLLE attachment points, so you can mount it to another item. You could, if you really wanted to, you could put it on your waistline. You can attach shoulder straps to it, and you could use it as an over-the-shoulder carry, kind of like what I have with an MMP right now. You see the pictures on the website if you want to know exactly what can and cannot go in here. That's not the purpose of this video. But the other thing about it is, just even the lid itself, it's designed to accommodate a small frying pan, right? So, and then it's got a big pocket on the outside that can hold all kinds of additional lickies and chewies or condiments or whatever, again, it is that you're using this bag for. But it's a bag that can do multiple things. I could have all my cooking gear in here, get to my campsite, I'm taking all my cooking gear out, and then now I can throw this on a shoulder strap, and I could walk around, I could forage for kindling and timber and all kinds of other things. Berries, it's blueberry picking season up here. I just posted a picture of somebody who used their mother canteen carrier, took the canteen out, and then used it for blueberry picking. Same concept here, right? So again, multifunctional gear. I just talked about our mother canteen carrier. I mean, I've done so many videos on this. If you think this is just a canteen carrier, you know, my hackneyed saying is, well, then just put your canteen in a sock. I mean, like, really, this is a maximum amount of gear in a minimalist over-the-shoulder platform as you can possibly get, right? You know, I'm not saying it's the Hilton, but, you know, for the food, fire, water, shelter, shoot, move, communicate, medicate, that's kind of how I say it. You could say 10 C's. You could use get back home. Whatever your abbreviation or your acronym is for what you want to carry on you, how you're thinking about what you're carrying on you. But again, food, fire, water, shelter, shoot, move, communicate, medicate in one over-the-shoulder minimalist platform with all kinds of different capabilities. You know, it's designed to be worn over the shoulder. I could still mount it to the outside of another, you know, item that's got a MOLLE panel. You know, my hackneyed saying is, you know, if you can't survive for 3 days with what you just have in the mother canteen carrier, then you should probably just stay inside, keep playing Xbox, make a career out of that so you can buy money so somebody else can take care of you. But seriously, there's almost nothing that you can't do with that. Now, and I'm just gonna jump ahead a second. And then if you combine it with our G3 gear roll, one of our gear rolls, this is our third evolution of the gear roll. Now this one isn't fully loaded. I've got this set up for another video we're gonna do here in the near future showing how you can have a shelter in here, S-rolled, and literally walk up to a tree, secure your ridge line, walk to the next tree, secure your ridge line, walk around the perimeter of your shelter, and then there's your shelter. You can have a TP, a tent-style shelter set up in less than 2 minutes, right? Just off of this. Again, same type of thing, it's versatile. It's a tool roll, if you don't know what our gear rolls are. It's a tool roll. It's got a carrying handle. How you use this is up to you. You could use it, I've had dads sending me pictures. They're using this with all the lickies and chewies and the diapers and all that stuff for their young kids. Great way to convince Ma that you need to buy one of these things. Oh no, it's gonna be my diaper bag for little Susie, you know, or whatever. That's pretty awesome. But, you know, and I've got it still set up from a last video where we showed how you could rig a shoulder strap to this. So imagine the mother canteen carrier on one shoulder and this on the other shoulder. Maybe you don't want to carry a big rucksack. Maybe you're just doing a 10-mile out and back. Well, think about that. Think of how impressive a date it would be with all the gear you could put in a G3 and a mother. You're walking out there 5 miles out is a really nice, like, you know, waterfall or vista or meadow. And then whether it's your family, think about how your kids would think dad is a badass if you just get out there and then now you're suddenly whipping up a fire and a nice lunch for everybody just with the things that you're just carrying over your shoulder, or how your date will be impressed, or whatever the case is. Or if the weather turns and now suddenly you have to make camp for tonight because it's a raging frickin', you know, hailstorm or whatever, now you're not gonna die. So you combine the G3, and by the way, and it's got, you can see in the back, it's got MOLLE. You can attach it to other products. You can put this on your waistline. There's a million different ways you could wear it. But you could attach this to the G2 if you wanted to. So the bottom line though is, now it's not 3 days of survival. Now you're actually increasing your odds to 5 to 7 days. Now there's still gonna be work that you're gonna do. I'm not saying it's gonna, you know, you just sit down and these things feed you and make coffee. Don't consider it that way. But my point is, find gear that's versatile. I could have this in my, you know, on the back of my car seat. I could have this in my rucksack. It could be a first aid kit. It could be that kit that I have for my kids. It could be a shelter kit. It could be a fire starting kit. You do you. But have a piece of gear that isn't just, oh, it's just a gear roll with just a handle and that's all I can do with it. Nope, I can wear this over my shoulder. I can attach it to other items. I can mount it to my car seat. I can mount it to the bottom of the G2. Maybe you can mount it to the bottom of somebody else's canteen carrier. I don't know, but versatility, multifunctional, multi-dimensional pieces of gear. Now, maybe a canteen scares you, right? Because you're like, oh, canteens are all, they're so military. Well, you know, those style canteens have been around since, like, you know, man has been making canteens. But then get a water bottle, right? So we make a Scout water bottle. But don't just have a water bottle. And again, there are a couple other companies out there that are making these just weird, just like, they're almost like little rucksack water bottles. But you do you. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. If a water bottle's your thing and you don't want to carry, Spoon, you know what, are these the 42s or this, what is this? I think, is this the 42 or 64? No. Whatever, this is a pretty large Yeti, right? But if you want to go and you want to carry even more water, well then again, see those other companies. They're American-made companies. They're big and bulky, almost the size of the burrito. But again, you do you. There's nothing, maybe that is what you are looking for because you don't like canteens. So the Scout, it doesn't carry as much as the mother canteen carrier, but it's got a very robust front pocket, keys, cell phone, camera, lickies, chewies, whatever you want to do. It's got MOLLE on the outside of it so you can attach other items, you know, again, just like I did right there, you know, with the, you know, the burrito, you can attach another pouch to the outside of it. There's a MOLLE strap on the back so you could weave it into another product, or if I was just jogging, or if I was fighting off Sasquatch, you know, I could maybe grasp this a little bit better, or if I was just walking, maybe that's a more comfortable carry for you than over the shoulder. And it doesn't also have to be a vertical over the shoulder. See the previous videos. I can actually set that up, and that's what it was set up for from the previous video, and I can plug the shoulder strap here, and now it's in a Scout carry configuration. So again, all I'm emphasizing is get gear that you're gonna know how to manipulate, you're gonna know how to operate, you're going to know intuitively how to take advantage of, and it's not gonna just be for this one thing and this one thing only. You can use it. I mean, get gear and use the living bejesus out of it, right? You know? Oh, I only take it out, you know, once a year. Well, you do you. You do you. And then I'm gonna show off kind of two of our newer products. So kind of like in the whole bag pouch thing. So this is Babs right here, right? So badass bag. So it's based off of our Gap pouch. But same thing, if I'm just like, I'm parking at a trailhead and I'm just gonna go walking down 100 yards to the stream, you still need to carry safety, you know, emergency. Again, think of the whole 9 yards. I just said it. Food, fire, water, shelter, shoot, move, communicate, medicate. You know your environment. I'm not in your environment. I don't know who you are. I don't know your physical constraints. But you want to have something that you're going to be able to carry with you, right? So that's Babs, right? Whether it's everyday carry, whether it's out in the woods, right? You know, it's a pretty robust 7x7, you know, pouch. It's got an internal slip pocket. The interior material is rubberized, so it gives you a little bit more protection, abrasion resistance. The pocket, and I'll do a complete loadout video on this, the pocket folds a certain way for a certain reason, and then there's a slip pocket on the back, so again, if maybe your cell phone's back there, or maybe your map sheet is back there, and then it's got a dedicated shoulder strap with the loops, right? So this isn't just a bag, because I could be attaching my sunglass kit up here, my, you know, my mosquito repellent, I could be putting a knife up here. You do you, you know your environment. But get a piece of gear that even for something small and simple like this, it isn't just a one-trick pony. That's all I'm really trying to say. And then here's the Gap pouch. And we'll do, again, as I said, we'll do another loadout video. This one is meant to be more dedicated to be worn on your waist or mounted to some other type of platform, you know. But it also, and on that note, and actually Spoon really had a play in this, because Cindy and I were talking about this based on what she did. She's the one who made Babs. And we added these little strips right here of webbing, because at that point, I could attach a carabiner here with gloves. I could do, you know, it gives me more attachment points, taking some items out of the interior, giving me more interior storage space for whatever it is I'm doing. And now I've got those other extraneous items maybe on the outside. But then you can also take chasm buckles or 550 cord or S-beaners, whatever you want to do, attach them here, and then now you can run a shoulder strap with it if you want it to be a shoulder strap bag. So the Babs is a dedicated shoulder strap bag. Maybe it's downfall, but that's what it is designed for. It's supposed to be kind of a sporty little outdoorsy over-the-shoulder bag. This guy can be worn on the outside of an item, on your belt line, or as a shoulder strap. What does that equal? Versatility, right? It's multifunctional, right? It's not just one dimension. Now, if you're going to be carrying stuff over your shoulders, and here's another thing, you know, depending on what you're carrying, like, you know, you can see I've got a padded strap wrap on this other product that I'm wearing right now. But our padded strap wrap isn't just a pad, right? You know, because most of those pads that you get for your, you know, your duffel bags and your other bags, they just move all around. Our padded strap wrap is designed to go in between the reducers from the shoulder strap. It gives you the same capability. You know, you can see here's two different versions. This one is elastic, which is designed for shotgun shells, because maybe you're going to be out grouse hunting and you're just throwing this and that over your shoulder as you parked right here. You're going to walk a mile down the trail looking for grousing or whatever, you know, your season is, your hunting season, or maybe the fishing hole, and then you're going to walk back. Well, now you've got this here. You've got those shotgun shells here, so you don't have to have them in the pocket or your pouch or whatever the case may be. So that's one version, and then the other one has loops. Same thing, tie downs, you know, gloves, bug dope, sunscreen, whatever the case is. But more importantly, it isn't just a pad. The pad opens up, and if you know what you're doing, it creates a channel, an inner compartment inside there on top of the shoulder strap. Now you could put all your cordage in there. You could put, you know, thinner, smaller lickies and chewies. You could put a water filtration straw in here. Multi-purposed gear. Get multi-purpose gear. If you want to just get a normal shoulder strap, well, get a normal shoulder strap. You know, at that point in time, you know, just grab some rope and throw it over your shoulder. All right, before I get into the kind of the final segment of it, you know, you're doing all this stuff. Well, you should be wearing a belt while you're doing it, because belts do way more than just holding up your pants. Now, the whole belt market is totally saturated. There's a ton of companies making belts. The only thing that I'm going to say for us at Centerline System is all of my materials, no shit, mil spec, and I'm using the Austria Alpine Cobra buckle, right? And I don't have webbing, overlapping webbing, so you can have smaller webbing to a weird no, it goes on like, if you're an adult like me, you know, I was born in the 60s, you know, you put the belt loop on one side and it comes all the way around your body and then it goes through the buckle, right? So it's pretty simple. I know, but, and I'm not knocking anyone else, but at the end of the day, this isn't just assembled in America. This is actually mil spec, made in America material. We use 2 layers of 55301 over a layer of 500575. See if the other guys can quote that kind of stuff, right? That's what it is. That's mil spec webbing. So because you want a belt that's going to be, it's not rigid like a band of iron going around your waist, but it's got to be rigid in that north-south trajectory, right? Because if you're carrying pouches, I've got 2 pouches on right now. I've got 2 of our belt pouches. I wear them every day. I wear one out over at my 4 o'clock and one over at my 8 o'clock. It's got all my emergency meds, all my little emergency EDC things, right? And they're not a lot of weight, and I also carry concealed, but you can see I'm squeezing that north-south. And if you know anything about concealed carry, if you carry a lot of gear around your waistline, you don't want a spaghetti noodle as a belt, right? If this on the north-south starts collapsing, see, I can barely do that. See how much effort it took me just to collapse that? If your belt does that with your, whether it's your holster or your gear on it, and if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. That quarter to a half a second difference on your draw stroke because your belt's moving with it or your belt's collapsing as you're trying to come from concealment on your draw stroke, that can mean all the difference in the world. Because if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. 2 seconds is a lifetime in those type of circumstances or those situations. A half second, a quarter second. Ooh. So anyway, So we make an EDC belt, 1.5 inch. We make a 1.75 inch belt that's designed to go on the outside of your clothing called the Sherpa belt, because again, if you're out in the more, cold weather type of environment, this belt is great through your blue jeans, but what about when I have like 2 layers of clothes or 3 layers of clothes and you still want to have access to things on the outside of your body? Well, that's our Sherpa belt. I'll show that off in a second. Then we make, which is a 1.75 inch belt. And then we make a 1.75 inch regular belt like this, right? So if that's your kind of thing, if you like the 1.75 inch more. So we make a couple different belts. But my whole point on belts isn't just our belts. You need a belt. I mean, again, the market is saturated. Go find somebody who uses the same type of material. It's made in America, the same type of background, who has the same type of thought process, and get a belt from them. But if you're just thinking, oh, but I want to be able to slide every buckle through my belt loops because putting my belt tip through my belt loops is too tough. Hey, here's the deal. First you put on your socks, and then you put on your shoes. That's all I'm going to say. And for those of you, now we're getting into, again, if things do get serious, and I hope I'm wrong, and maybe on the EDC world, it isn't just the everyday carry, but it's more about concealment and survivability. You probably already know this. We make 2 belts for Black Scout survival. So we make a 1.5 inch concealment belt and a 1.75 inch concealment belt as well. This is called the Pistolero. This is just called the concealment belt. Jack and I, so he reached out to me, this was years ago, and he wanted to make a belt that had concealment capabilities. I used my personal experiences when I was in the CIA using concealment devices in my clothing and throughout the environment, and this is what we came up with. The pockets, the concealment pockets aren't add-ons. They're actually part of the material. They're part of the belt. They're designed a certain way, and they're put in a certain location, because whether you're handcuffed in front or handcuffed in rear, and I'm not even joking. Think of how many people get abducted every year. Okay, well, what do most captors do? They're just throwing you in the back of a vehicle at first, and they're driving you someplace. Those seconds can matter, just like in any other survival situation. Seconds, minutes really do matter. And if that's what you're worried about because you're doing foreign travel, then these are the belts you want to look at. And hey, even if you're not into that James Bondy, surreptitious entry, lock-picking type of world, that's fine. I don't know about you, but I use my belt. I got a $100 bill in the back pocket, and I got 4 quarters in the front pocket, because that's the reality. I ran out of money, my credit card doesn't work, but I got $100 on me. Hey, I'm downtown and I don't have any change because I hate carrying change in my pocket. Well, guess what? I've got 4 quarters for that pesky meter. Thumb drive, spare house key. It doesn't have to be scary stuff, guys. It just makes sense. So find something that makes sense. It's very versatile. It isn't just a belt. It's a belt that offers you a whole bunch of other opportunities, well, to survive and to save yourself. And then speaking of belts, so here we go. We got 2 different pouches that go on belts. These are the 2 pouches I carry. We used to call them the puck pouch. We just call them the EDC belt pouch right now, right? But you can see, this is more than large enough for one of your standard survival tins. So that's what I have. In one of my pouches, I have a survival tin, and a flashlight. And in the other pouch, I actually have these 4 kind of, it's not titanium, it's a special type of plastic. But I've got 4 of those things, and that carries my emergency meds in them. And I got them marked a certain way. And then the utility pouch, knives, Gerber tools, passports. Again, you do you. But these are things that you might want to carry on you. This can be worn on my waistline. This could be attached to, I could attach it right up here if I wanted to. I could attach this right up here if I wanted to. I could put it on the outside of my rucksack or my Scout or my Mother, like we've already shown you. Find gear that's versatile, but also start thinking about, you better always have gear on you, because even that little 5 mile out and back, I'm just going to walk up there with my girlfriend to this really cool waterfalls. Well, then suddenly a blizzard comes in out of nowhere, or you're attacked by a grizzly bear. I don't mean that seriously. I hope that doesn't happen. Our little green men come down and try to abduct you, whatever it is. But you better have some gear on you, because we as human beings, we're soft. Our nails aren't sharp. They're not hard. Our teeth, we don't have fangs. Our skin is really well, depending on how tough you are. But, we're just, I can't beat a deer. I can barely beat 4 4-year-olds. I'm so broken right now. So, yeah, you better have some gear, and the mindset and the knowledge, the skills, so you can level the playing field. And I'm going to come over here to the folding saw pouches on that note right here. So, I never used folding saw pouches until about 10 years ago, or correction, folding saws. until about 10 years ago. I just never had a need for them in my life growing up. I mean, you know, when I was a kid and even when I was hunting, this just wasn't a thing, right? And, you know, when I was in the agency in the military, just wasn't a thing for us to be concerned about. Then I came back here, got back into hunting again, was shooting some very rustic, you know, archery, you know, lanes for deer hunting. And I suddenly fell in love with these, you know, and I'm like, oh, I got to have one of those Baco Laplanders. And then that resulted in our first folding saw pouch. But it is more than just a folding saw pouch, and I'm going to show you that in a second. So our standard folding saw pouch, the Silky Gomboy, Baco Laplander style pouches, but you can see you can molly it, you can wear it on your belt, you can attach it to other items, but then there is this channel in the back. So on the smaller ones, I could even run this through my belt line and wear it in the small of my back like this, or I could put a camp axe through there, and I'll show you that in a second. And then, so again, it's multifunctional. It gives you more options. Hell, you don't have to put a folding saw in there. I mean, maybe you're putting your lickies and chewies in there. I've had some people send me pictures where they've put little things of shot, those little, you know, like shots and, you know, and condiments and stuff like that. So right here you go. So here's the correction, this is the Big Boy folding saw pouch made for the Silky Big Boy, right? So it's a larger pouch because it's a larger saw, and I'll, you know, talking ain't doing. All right, so Silky Big Boy, this is a badass. So I think this saw right here is what really turned me on to folding saws, because this thing, with this Big Boy and an axe, holy crap, you know, like, and I'm sure you watch a bunch of those, like, you know, Alone shows and all that stuff, but man, I swear to God, there's almost nothing that you couldn't do with like a good axe and a good saw, and that saw is awesome. But so you can see, so I've got an axe, so it's the same thing, it has that same belt channel. I just actually, now this is getting a little big. You could still wear it in your waistline, right? Versatility, but it's what, again, it's really designed for is the ability for you to put an axe, or it could be a shovel, you do you. But then because it is larger, now you've got more space up on the front, and so we added some molly there. Now you could add another pouch, again, whether it's the Gap pouch or a Med pouch or whatever the case is, now you could add that up here, and thereby taking more space out of your other ruck or your over the shoulders thing. And it's the same thing right here with, so this is the buck saw pouch. Now it'll work with a couple different pouches. This is an Agawa Canyon, a Boreal 21 in there, but it has all the same attributes as any of the other folding saw pouches. Again, space to put molly up front, a sleeve where you can run your axe. You can attach it to a whole different bunch of surfaces. Again, weave the molly through, and instead you could wear it on your waistline, you could wear it over the shoulder, attach a shoulder strap to it. Have versatile gear. Get some versatile gear. I would like it if you got my gear, but get some versatile gear if you can from an American-made company. Get out there and start exercising your brain, your body, start coming closer to nature, you know, be closer with your friends, your family, start teaching some skills to your kids, or just reminding yourself of the skills that you used to know and that you need to be brushing up on. I'll throw myself under the bus. There are a lot of skills I need to brush up on. I've basically just spent the last 3 to 4 years of my life not even being able to exercise, and only last year was I able to go out and do a little bit of hunting. I've just been so physically broken. So you got to get out there. So of course I've got some rust I need to break off, you know, I need to break off and get rid of as well. Then the last thing, you know, kind of going into belts. So again, depending where you live, you know, like, you know, if you live down in the south, you're not going to be wearing, you know, 4 layers of clothing. Well, maybe you guys do when it gets like 50 degrees. That's your guys' idea of like 60 below to us. But whatever, again, I'm just messing. But so this is our Sherpa belt, which is an outside of the waist belt, right? And then a Y harness built into it, because you put a lot of weight on your waistline. So just think this through. So you got to have something that's versatile. Even if you're using somebody else's system or you're running a battle belt, whatever it is, you put all that weight on your waistline and it really will sag and it really will slow you down. You need to transfer some of that weight up onto your shoulder. So find a system that'll get some weight up onto your shoulder. So, and then if it's got to do more than just getting weight up on your shoulder. So you can see I've added 2 padded strap wraps to my Y harness. I've got now all that internal storage capability or capacity if I want to use it that way. I've also got outside mounting locations. So now I can mount a, you know, again, this is a really sweet knife. You know who you are, right? Really sweet knife, you know, even more fire starting capability. So if I lose, you know, so I'm not just primary alternate, I'm primary alternate contingency and emergency. You got to have multiple redundancies in your gear, right? I can wear this in the spring. Yeah, I could wear this in the summer if I really wanted to. I personally wouldn't want to because, well, I mean, I suppose if I was out in the woods, I would, you know, but I guess I was just thinking about, because I automatically thought about wearing hoodies and vests and, like, you know, a wool shirt. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I don't want to do that in the summer. but it helps gets all that weight. It helps spread the weight out from your waistline into your shoulder line, and it makes it so you can actually walk farther, you're less fatigued. And then going on, another thing, I already kind of did the plug for Black Scout Survival, the belts we made for him. Med kit. You got to get out and start training yourself on some medicine, right? You've got to learn some real basic medical, again. Now this med kit, this is my med kit, this is my hunting rig right here. So this is set up for a GSW, a gunshot wound. But this could be set up for however you want it to be. And what's really nice about the med kit, again, going back into like the versatility and the thought process, go buy that cheap ass shit from China. Did those guys who designed it, did they ever actually do any of these things for real? When Jack reached out to me to make this, I immediately just started saying, well, this is how I always wanted my med kits when I was downrange and people were shooting at me, right? So the one thing I really wanted was I wanted the ability under duress, darkness, gloves, you know, gross motor skills. When I opened this up, I wasn't trying to like undo a zipper. I wasn't trying to fumble with this side or that. And when you open this up, there's a pull tab in here, right? And then that, as you can see what I'm doing, it pulls it and it pulls all the contents out. And it will spill them right either on the ground next to your knee where you're, you know, performing first aid on someone else, or it'll spill it into your hand if you're performing it on yourself. You can manipulate it with your left hand, your right hand. It's got storage compartments up in the front for chem lights, decompression needles. You can see I've just got some gauze and I've got some gloves up here. It's got an area on the side for a TQ, a tourniquet, and then a pair of shears. And then the rest of the interior contents, you know, it's pretty much all GSW, and again, I've got my mandatory, you know, tape and all that kind of stuff. But get a good medical kit, right? And don't get this medical kit that's just a bag, right? I mean, again, you'll be fumbling through the contents, the interior of your bag, trying to find the stuff you need in a crisis. Get gear that's gonna work for you, it's gonna be easy to learn, and it's multi-functional. And again, whether you, okay, maybe you are wearing this on, you know, maybe that's your thing, you know, you're just wearing a t-shirt, you got this on the outside, and you got a canteen on one side and a first aid kit on the other side, and you're just out there, you know, working on your trails or cutting some lumber down because, you know, you got to get ready for next winter, whatever the case may be. And then the final little thing about gear, this is all I'm going to say. I'm getting the highlight that it's time for me to start wrapping this up. So right now I'm wearing I don't know if you want to call it the prototype or the field testing. So sometimes you want a rucksack, and that makes all the sense in the world. I mean, there's nothing that can replace, like, you know, a good rucksack. I personally like external frames, lots of pockets so I can organize, but you still got to have that huge cubic inch, you know, interior space. There's a time and place for that. Other times you want to pick and choose and modify the gear you're taking based on the environment you're in or the objective, the actions that you're taking, and you want more organizational skill, right? So that's what we're doing with this guy right here. So this is the MMP, right? And I'll be doing more videos. This is just, it's basically, in essence, it's a modular platform, right? You can see I have a whole bunch of different pouches on it. This is what I carry with myself every day now. I've done everything from over my shoulder. I usually actually right now just have it set up on the back of my my driver's side seat. I just have it set up. I just wrap it around there and just leave it in there. And it's becoming kind of more of my, oh shit, the balloon really did go up. I know I've got enough stuff and the capability that I can put stuff over my shoulder. And I'm here to tell you, boys and girls, what I really like about this more than anything is I've got this ruck that's been with me forever, and it's a Kelty, and I love that rucksack. But you know, when you're carrying a ruck on one shoulder, it always wants to slip and move. This thing, we'll do a loadout video on this. This thing wraps and conforms around your waist. It doesn't move. It's super comfortable. It's more comfortable than wearing a rucksack on just one shoulder strap, right? That Kelty is a great, again, I've had that Kelty bag for years, so I'm not dogging anybody. But I like this a million times better because I'm way more organized. I know exactly what's in each pouch. I don't have to dig through this pocket or dig through that, or because again, and if you've been in these situations, you know what I'm talking about. The thing you need is always at the bottom of your rucksack, not when not when you can organize like this, right? The thing I need is either in this pouch, this. See what I'm saying? You set it all up, and then for versatility, like I'm saying, if you really needed to, you could modify this because it's got 4 different shoulder strap attachment points. You could do it as a chest rig if you really wanted to, or a backpack if you really wanted to. Not necessarily designed for that, but it gives you that versatility, right? It's got an internal compartment. This opens up. I could put map sheets in here. I could put a cutting board. I could put whatever that's thin and flat. Spoon's put his damn laptop, or not your laptop, your notebook, excuse me, yeah. He's put his notebook inside it, and then it's got Molly on the back, so if I need to rig it up to another platform, I can configure that, and I can just attach it to another platform. Again, it's got our standard shoulder strap, but I mounted a padded strap up here because, again, all my cordage and everything can go up here. I've still got tie-down loops. You can just use this. I could attach it to the outside of my vehicle at my campsite. Dude, take this and put all the pouches on there for all of your condiments and all your spices and all your food and, you know, whatever you're gonna do. And then have that on the side of your vehicle, and then you're just pulling things off and you're whipping up a great meal over the campfire and impressing everybody that's with you and like, holy shit, you are squared away and you've got your shit wired tight. All right, that's it, gear. So I'm gonna end it on that final little note. I'm kind of laughing right now because you're wired tight. That's all I'm really trying to say. I'm smiling. I don't want to be this. I don't want this to be like, you know, fear porn or doom and gloom. I hope you're right, and I hope I'm wrong. But I think we're still going to take a couple more punches. So get out there, get some gear, knock that rust off, start honing those skills. You know, rehearse. What is the word I'm looking for? Oh, anyway, you know what I'm trying to say. Spoon isn't helping me out here either, but get out there and just brush off those skills. Get out there in the woods, get out there with friends and family, you know, start working on things, learn new skills. For example, grab the G3, all right, and I'll do this video in the near future. Set it up as a shelter. You and your buddies. I don't care if, you know, having a beer, campfire, none of those things. Just go out in the backyard or go out somewhere nearby and then figure out how to make up shelters. Figure out how to do a couple different shelters. Learn 3 to 5 really solid knots and just practice doing that. Again, you could be doing that with a barbecue, you could do it with music, you could be doing it for real, you know, under like, you know, inclement weather, you know, type of conditions or nighttime. But get out there and start practicing that stuff. If it's not weird, get your family involved because everybody needs to know how this stuff. Start talking about first aid, start talking about like, look, my weakness is foraging. I don't know enough of the vegetation around here to really do a good job of what could I go out there and just pick and survive. I know some things. I don't know anywhere near that I would like to, right? So get yourself smart on that. Grab a canteen, throw it over your shoulder, have your freaking, you know, your wilderness, you know, edibles book, and then just go out for a hike and then try to see what you can find. Go down by rivers, maybe go fishing, but get out there, get some gear, get out there and get it done because otherwise you might be done. And I hope again, 6 months from now, we're all laughing about how stupid a video this was. Until then, you know the deal. If you ever got questions or comments, reach out anytime. I'll do the best I can to help you out. Till then, keep thinking, keep moving, never quit. All right, everybody, be good. Woo!